Kelly Stafford, again, we talked about it days ago. She talks about how maybe Matthew is not connecting with the guys in the locker room. Just play the beginning of it again, Ryan.
It's kind of crazy.
Crazy?
So Matthew's been in the league a long time, right? We've been talking about this. He's like, the difference in the locker room has changed so significantly.
So significantly because the guys are all on their phones and no one's playing cards and, we used to walk uphill both ways to school. It's not the olden days. I mean.
Yeah, but you know what that shows? I mean, she's blatantly saying it. The disconnect between the quarterback and his teammates. That's not something you just blurt out there. That's a very private conversation. And if you can't see that makes me wonder what you tell your wife and other people when I'm not around. It makes me think, as your bud and co-host for all these years.
I tell my wife everything unless it's top layer.
Yeah, well,
top layer.
I can't wait to hear what top layer is, but that makes me think, don't tell Rich. If you think it's okay for Kelly Stafford to be saying this on a public podcast when her husband is Matt Stafford, then, it makes me wonder what I should tell you.
You share everything with your spouse. Ryan, do you not tell your spouse everything?
Yeah, I tell her everything.
That's what you talk
about.
That's what you gossip
go
about.
So far as even my best friends who I've grown up with since like elementary school, if they start telling me something, I go, hey, do you want Kim to know about this?
She's going to find out.
Exactly.
All right, Ryan, I'm going to ask you then. Ryan's hanging out with us again on the phones, 818-907-0062. You have a buddy. Everybody has a buddy who's a schlub, who's up to no good, or he's doing something weird.
Sure.
But he's your buddy, right? You grew up together. He lived on your street. You used to play wiffle ball.
100%. Everybody's got one.
He's your bud. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm scheming on my old lady. Right?
My old lady?
Don't tell anybody. Well, what kind of guy are we talking about?
Yeah,
The type of guy
that would call his wife his old lady.
Yeah. So, hey,
let me break the news to you. I don't have any friends who are 75 years old, so I don't know.
Hey, my old lady. Yeah, but people like that say things like that, right?
Sure.
Hey, so I met this girl online, and we're hanging out. Don't tell anybody, though. But, man, because things are tough in my marriage, but this girl, but don't tell anybody. You're going to tell your wife that? Here's why I say don't. I'm not saying keep secrets. I'm not trying to ruin your relationship. What I'm saying is next time you go to hang out with your bud, she's going to think that, this is the type of people you hang with.
Sure.
And that's the type of guy you may be. So you've planted a seed in her head that's unnecessary and completely untrue because just because he's a schlub and he's up to no good doesn't mean that you're the same way.
It's fair. Now, where I draw the line is you don't got to go volunteering information that doesn't need to be shared. So
there you go.
I'm not necessarily, to your point, I'm not going to go run home and be like, whoa, you'll never believe what so-and-so told me.
Got you. But you're not going to keep anything.
If she's like, hey, what's going on with Mikey and Sally? I got to be like, hey, he told me things are rough. He may be doing something that's not right.
I think it's not preposterous at all. Matthew Stafford's going to tell Kelly everything. She just happens to have a podcast that women and men listen to, and she's the wife of a Super Bowl winning quarterback. I tell my wife everything except top layer. When I say top layer, that means, and it's only one layer, it's infidelity. If one of my buddies, if we're at a bachelor party and it's like, hey, Doug, banged a stripper, I'm not telling my wife.
Well, she's going to hate Doug,
but
and she doesn't want you hanging out with Doug.
You could, Rich Davis here, you could trust in me not to tell my wife or your wife if you did something like that.
Well,
but if COVINO comes to me and he's like, yo, dude, you ever get a really itchy butthole? I think I have hemorrhoids. I'm going to tell my wife, COVINO's got hemorrhoids.
Why would you even start that rumor on the herd?
So, I mean,
by the way, that's not even true. I just want to make that clear. Relax there. No, I don't.
No, Spot, did you hear?
Hey, hold on now. I just want to make this clear, too. This is a two-layer sort of question. I get that people are going to tell their girlfriend and spouse most things. We have to assume that. When you're confiding in your bud, there's a great chance he's going to tell his wife. We have that understanding. So I'm not saying Matt Stafford's completely in the wrong here. That happens. We're all lying if we don't admit that. But there are lines, and maybe that's one of them. Look, I'm not a professional athlete. Maybe you know you're taking a chance if you let other people in on some of those stories. But
all the wives talk.
Yeah, but the big ball dropped is by Kelly talking about this on a public podcast. Now, keep in mind, when we first heard the story, I questioned it, but I assumed that she had to have run this by Stafford first.
Well, listen.
And it turns out she didn't.
Before I give you my theory, I got to ask, do you and Spot? Because you guys are my best buds. Do you have I hope you have. Do you have top tier level Spot or no? There.
I tell it all.
See, he tells it all. That's why Spot's the type of guy. You might hold back some of the dirty stuff, right? Like you know, there's people that are like, I can't tell that person everything. Not everyone's got stuff to hide, but not to name drop. COVINO and Rich at the Super Bowl.
Uh-oh.
No, this is not bad.
No, I can't wait to hear the name drop.
We talked to Christian McCaffrey of the 49ers. And one of the things we talked about was his beautiful fiancée, Olivia Culpo, got along so great with the other 49ers girlfriends and wives. And that was a big factor into him feeling comfortable right away in the Bay Area. Wives and girlfriends. We talked about it yesterday with Aaron Donald's wife wanting a Super Bowl ring.
We've said Erica Donald, by the way, had a Super Bowl ring. And she's saying that every supportive wife should have a Super Bowl ring. And Rich and I are the first to say, yeah, we agree with that. Behind every great man is a great woman that supports him. And they deal with a lot, and they're part of the team. They deal with so much. We saw Marcus Mariota's wife going over all the plays with them on the series quarterback. We said the wives do. Girlfriends, no. Wives do deserve Super Bowl rings. Yeah. We agree. We talked about it on our new podcast, Overpromised. But
yeah, well, the thing is that think of how much of a hassle it is in your life when you're dating someone that's a pain in the ass versus a supportive, amazing woman.
There's a big difference.
There's a big difference. And Kelly Stafford and Matthew have a great relationship. I think Kelly seems sweet. I don't think she crossed this major line everyone's talking about. And she feels really bad. If you haven't heard the update, here's Kelly Stafford.
I spoke on a topic that I think it's relatable to the fact that it's hard to relate to someone who is 10 years younger than you.
And that's what was written actually about it. It was a very relatable thing.
And I do think that's entirely true. But I'm not in an NFL locker room. I'm not spending every day with these teammates. Obviously, there's relationships. He spends more time with them than he does with me during the season. That was tough. I say all the time, even on my podcast, probably not the best if your wife's name's in the media when it comes to if it's talking about sports.
Yeah. Agreed.
And I failed pretty bad last week, but we're going to move forward. Hopefully those guys, and I know those guys know Matthew and don't read into it because, as we know, media can stir things up. But I put my foot in my mouth pretty good.
Now, let's focus on the positives.
Don't be hard on
We've
yourself,
already
Kelly.
said it. No. I think she should be. We've already said it. She's deserving of a Super Bowl ring. She is. Yeah. Right? She's a supportive wife. She's a great woman. That's the woman he chose. I'm not trying to come down on her. Everybody makes mistakes, too. Got to say props for taking full accountability as well. That's a big woman right there. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm saying it's a big person.
That's a big woman.
That's a big gesture. That's a great thing to do. And I think she handled it perfectly. But we can't forget that she shouldn't have said that. She's absolutely right. She should not have said that.
What I don't think is that any of these young guys in the locker room that are playing with a Super Bowl champion like Matthew Stafford, a guy that's been proven to be a star in the league, I don't think any of these young guys that are happy to just be on the Rams, I don't think any of them are like, can you believe what Matt's wife said?
Yeah, but that's
I
for
guess
Matt.
I'm on Instagram
That's
too much.
for Matt to say and for Matt to address. And she just, long jumped into the middle of this little controversy here. If you had an issue at the workplace, everybody has to put themselves in Matt Stafford's situation. If you had an issue with some colleagues at the workplace, imagine if it was your wife or girlfriend that you confided in who came forth and sort of said, hey, just so everybody knows, you guys aren't getting along because, or he's not liking you because it's not her place.
But
I'm
keep
sorry.
in mind,
it's just not.
dude,
and you wouldn't do
stop
it either, man. So
let's-
you're saying she's being hard on herself.
Yeah.
I think it's completely appropriate
Let's
here.
move along because
she made a mistake. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but it was very much a mistake and
but
should have been
it's
kept
not.
in the locker room.
No, listen, she didn't say something like, man, Matthew came home and said this team lacks talent and it's going to be a long
You
year.
want to make a bet?
Matthew came home
When
and
this
said,
show's on the field,
when
this show's on the field, this is the first thing that people are going to point to. People are going to point to this. Well, Kelly Stafford did say there was a major disconnect
people are
between
idiots
Matt
like
and the
you.
young
You
guys.
sound like a moron right now. You know what?
Actually, I don't.
I'll
I
tell you
think
what.
there's 90% people that agree with me. Even our boy LeVar Arrington, who played professional sports. Just because you play Sunday softball, who cares about your stupid secrets? LeVar Arrington was like, yo, man, first of all, that stuff's supposed to stay within the locker room, period, let alone your wife putting it out there on blast for the world to know. You just gave every person in the media ammunition the first time something goes wrong. So you sound like a bozo. Bozo.
Did you say stupid Sunday softball? Take
Yeah,
that
I
back.
did.
No,
because what I'm saying is right. You're just trying to be nice about it.
No, I'm not
And
trying
I
to-
am too.
Dude,
but she made a mistake.
Not trying to be
and
nice
she
about
admitted it.
Not trying to be nice about anything. Give me a second.
Balboa League champion.
I'm a Balboa League champion. No, but listen, Kelly Stafford.
I'm sorry, softball MVP.
She didn't say. Again, let me finish the statement. She didn't say, Matthew came home and said, this player sucks, or Matthew came home and said, Sean McVay's new coaching schemes are terrible. She came home and said, yeah, Matthew's 30. Matthew's in his mid-30s.
Why would you say that?
These guys are 20-something. They're all on their phones. And when he was young in the league, all the older guys were playing cards. The dynamic is changing. She said, nothing offensive. You're just being a B like everyone else. It's like, oh, my God. She said, if anything, I guarantee the guys in the locker room, as a joke, when Matthew came in the locker room the next time, they all like, yo, grab your phone. And it became a joke, I bet.
You got to realize these guys are high-profile players.
They're not
they don't
sensitive
need,
little punks.
Really? You don't think Patrick Mahomes went to his wife? His wife wasn't really doing anything wrong, but you don't think he said, hey, Brittany, I love you. I love all your support and everything, but, I don't need I don't need any ammunition coming at me that's going to affect my image in any way, or, I don't need people talking about you on social media. It's a distraction.
Dude, I watched Quarterback, and after watching Quarterback...
Not that she did anything wrong, but who needs that when you're that high profile?
Because you know what? There's more to life than football. I know we learned on Ted Lasso it's the other football, but football is life. After watching Quarterback, I look at Brittany Mahomes and say, what a supportive wife and someone that's got his back regardless.
Yeah, but keep your name out the news. Just like Kelly Stafford said, it's football season. You know what it means? It's not about them right now.
All right, I get it. Player's wife.
And I
is
say
sort
that
of
respectfully. I really do.
A player's wife is sort of like a referee or umpire. If you hear their name, it's probably not good.
That's the point.